Right, we're back. We're back, fellas. It's been a while. And tonight we have with us Mr. Daniel James. Is it all right if I call you Dan? Because I realised I'd call you Dan.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've asked your permission for that before.
Do you know what? I've never been asked this more than I have in the last probably 3 weeks. Everyone's like, is it Dan or Daniel? And it's always when I go into schools.
That was my next question, I'll be honest.
And I'm just like, honestly, like the only person that's ever been bothered is my mum. And I remember when I was younger, my auntie always used to call me Dan. And she'd be like, I called him Daniel for a reason. And I was like, bloody hell, mum. Like, I'm not that bothered. So honestly, I've been called worse. We go Dan, Daniel, whatever's issue.
We'll go with Dan then, yeah?
There you go.
Tonight?
Easy.
Amazing. So, Dan, you are a mindset coach, a business owner, you CEO of the Prime Life Project.
Yeah, owner, CEO.
CEO, founder, personal trainer. You got a personal training business.
Yep.
You do public speaking. Is it schools you go to?
Schools, organisations, whatever I can get into, really,
Right.
to basically make an impact. So I say whatever I can get into makes me sound a bit desperate, but wherever I can make an impact, I will go and talk. So I've done universities, schools, organisations. I've worked with some big organisations, probably won't mention the names, but Mikey's been there for one of them. And the more organisations you go into, and you're talking about big names that people would know at this table, one's a car company and the other one's a bank. And
Who are they?
one begins with an A,
Okay.
and the other one begins with an N. So I'll leave that to you guys, the discussion.
Okay.
But when you go there and you're talking about this sort of stuff like mindset, mental health, whatever it is, and you think, wow, these guys are at the top of the top. Like, we're not talking about like I was going to level entry positions. We're talking about like director positions. The amount of people that struggle with their mindset and their mental health is absolutely scary.
Even at that level.
Even at that level. Because Mikey can vouch for this, is when I speak in this car company in central London, West London, their flagship store, there was 15, 20 people that I was talking in front of. And at the end of it, there was a queue of 15 people waiting to talk to me. They had to give me my own room, and then I had to turn people away. And these people weren't just talking to me about little things, like they were breaking down, full on breaking down. And you just think, wow. And these were all different ages. So not talking about like teenagers here. We're talking about like fully grown adult men that had kids, had some women. Also, and I was like, wow. That was the first time that really highlighted to me that more people are struggling than I actually realised.
Yeah, because, and also you're a mindset coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about that and like where you carry that out, what it involves, etc.
So I kind of fell into it. So we're going to a bit of a backstory about how that sort of happened. I started, as you sort of mentioned, my journey, personal training. So very good footballer growing up, didn't have a good time at school, bullied, all that sort of stuff. But football was the only thing that kind of kept me, quote unquote, safe. Like the popular kids, I was always bailing them out because I was a goalkeeper, so they kind of liked me. But I was the guy in break time that was a bit lost. So I didn't really know where I was going. I liked skateboarding, rock music. And I was just a guy that was by himself, like, what group do I belong in? Got bullied for had bad skin. I'm also dyslexic, so I had to wear them glasses. I don't know if you guys knew, at school, I had to wear coloured glasses. That was me because I couldn't read properly for my dyslexia. And basically, school wasn't a good time for me. I then, fast forward a bit, went to America on a football scholarship. Fast forward a bit more. When I came back, I basically was told by my mum, you need to get a job or I'm kicking you out of the house. So I was like,
how old was you at that age?
I just come back from America, and America by itself was traumatic. I basically got kicked out of America because my kind of visa ran out, and they were told you kind of need to leave when you graduate. So I had a girlfriend at the time, and we pretty much broke up at the airport. It literally was like, you see the movies, like, it can't be described in any other way. I've still got stuff in storage over there. I've still got a bank account. It's quite traumatic. So I was just sat there. Again, at this time, I didn't know what this was, but essentially I was depressed. I literally was sat in my bedroom playing on the
What age
Xbox.
was that? What age?
It would have been 21, 22. I was just sat there playing Xbox. I'd go to the gym, come back and just sit there. I wouldn't even open the curtains. So I didn't realise at the time, but looking back, I was depressed.
That's when you got back.
When I got back. Because again, it's a big part of your life, like quite traumatic. Hadn't dealt with it. Someone says, you need to get a job, you've been kicked out. Now, I trained as a personal trainer at college. So I went, right, get a job there. So went there, did the personal training stuff, blah, blah, blah. And worked at two of the top personal training companies in the country. Ended up getting loads of transformations, really good at my job, fantastic. I then went off by myself. During this time, I'd basically got a modelling contract. I'd stepped on stage doing bodybuilding competitions.
Yeah.
So I was absolutely six-pack shredded. I was on the front cover of magazines, had this amazing business, earning loads of money, living by myself, and I basically lost everything. Went down a massive rabbit hole, massive depression, couldn't get out of bed, but I was a functioning depressant. So when I say I couldn't get out of bed, I could get out of bed, but it'd take me maybe 2 hours. I'd then put this mask on, pretend I was okay, and then I'd get home and just stay in bed again. And that lasted for about 6 months. And I lost everything. Lost my clients, got myself into a lot of debt. Wow. So again, lost my business, then had to move back home with my parents at 28 years old. So very, very, very much case of eating humble pie. And I don't like being out of control. So I was a bit like, what the hell has just happened to me? What's happened? I didn't have a clue. So I went on a massive journey of trying to figure this all out. And the more I started to do it for myself, the more I realised I was talking to clients about it and that the clients were struggling about it. And it was only 3 years ago I really realised this is the missing piece to fat loss that no one talks about. Because people come into me for fat loss, they don't really want fat loss, they want to be happy. And if you ask people, well, what's happiness to you? All three of you can have different answers. Or even if you even have an answer, do you even know what happiness is for you guys? Maybe you don't. Even people listen to this. Like if I say, well, what's happiness to you? You can't define it. Well, if you want happiness, but you can't define it, how are you ever going to know you're going to get there? And again, same with success. I want to be successful. Well, what is success? If you then can't define success, how are you ever going to get there? It's like driving a car without sat-nav. So I was realising that my clients didn't really want fat loss. What they actually wanted was to feel better. And the more I went down this journey, the more I realised I'm really making an impact here with these people. And I basically then became like more of a life coach, mindset coach, than a personal trainer. So I then set up the Prime Life Project, where basically the coaches took care of the personal training, and I focused a lot more on the mindset stuff for my clients. So that's basically where I'm at now, where I basically focus on the mindset, mental health stuff with clients. Yes, still fat loss, but that's been phased out over time. And I then basically did some work with an amazing woman, and she said, you need to come and talk in schools. So I had no intention of talking in schools. I was the guy at school, public speaking, like my throat would go dry, my palms would get sweaty. I hated public speaking because, again, my dyslexia, being bullied. But got to a stage where I was like, I've got information that I know can help people. And I look at all the adults that come in to see me, all of their issues started at secondary school, including myself. So I'm just like, yes, I'm helping these adults, but actually, if I can go to the source and help these kids and give them the information that I wish I had when I was their age, that's actually more impactful. And that's what I do. So you can see just talking to you guys right now how passionate I am about this. Now imagine when I go into low-income schools, single-parent households, not good, strong male role model, kids that are struggling. And then you hear me coming to talk about mindset, mental health, and I'm saying to these kids, I've got some information that's going to save you 15 years of your life. They sit up and they listen. And the impact I'm having in schools is so profound. I've actually got to go and talk to the head of the North about the impact I'm actually having and how I'm getting such good results with these kids. And it all comes down to the fact of I actually genuinely care and I genuinely have information I know that can help them. Because,
let's ask you about that. So,
you're going to have to cut me up here because
I was just about to go for a jog. You had me. I was thinking about what I meant today.
You're being judged.
I'm like stuck in my belly. You are very passionate about it, and you know everything that you're doing is all relating to helping other people. Where do you think, where did that passion come from? Where's your desire come from to want to help others in such a way that you do?
Because I wish someone would help me. I was waiting for someone to help me. I genuinely was sat there when I was struggling thinking, it's all right, someone's going to come and help me.
You want to be that person?
Yeah, I'm trying to be the person I wish I had. That's literally it. And that's what I say when I talk in schools, that's basically how I open it. I'm here to be the person I wish I had. And that's why I care so much. But like I say, but the thing is, everyone's struggling. People in this room are struggling, whether people want to admit it or not. Now, again, with you kind of guys, probably with you, Mike, I know that Mike would admit it more if he was struggling. I'd admit it, maybe you, Joe. Exactly. But a lot of guys don't tend to talk about it. So then we've got with all these people that are struggling. So how can anyone help me when they can't help themselves? And who am I to expect other people to help me? And I've just sat there thinking, well, that's how the world works. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing. A lot of people are sat there thinking, someone's going to come and save me. Someone's going to come and help me. When really, everyone's thinking that, but no one's talking about it. So what we've got is people struggling and suffering in silence, waiting for people to help them. Or actually, if they just sat down and had an open, honest conversation like this, without alcohol, without drugs, without whatever people use to escape, and just had a real honest conversation saying, listen, lads, I've had a real bad day today. And you're like, oh, yeah, me too. And then Joe's like, oh, yeah, I had a real bad day last week. And we start talking about it. Guess what? We all realise we're exactly the same. We're all struggling. We have a bit of a masterminding session. We all leave feeling a lot better and realise, well, I'm not the only one. Because that's what I thought. I genuinely thought I was the only one. I genuinely thought I was the only one that went through this, that was thinking these thoughts. I thought I was the only person that had the voice inside my head. And it turns out everyone has it. Yeah. We just don't realise this. No one's taught that. We think we're insane.
We don't want to tell anyone, do you, really? Because if you do, then that person might dismiss it.
Exactly.
Dismiss it, and then you are back to where you are. So,
and I think it's also, especially with guys of our sort of age, is that when it comes to mental health, there's a massive stigma behind it as well. People don't get it, they don't understand it. So you start to talk about a voice inside your head, you're like, well, it's schizophrenic. They don't clue what schizophrenia is, but that's what they associate that with. And they start to just throw these words out there, and then you feel a bit of an idiot. So you just kind of keep your mouth shut and, well, that didn't feel good. So you just say nothing. And you stuff there in silence.
Yeah, you know, obviously, one of the one of the big motivations around us doing this podcast, you know, called it Educating Idiots. It's about, we want to put that message across that it's okay to talk about serious things like what you're talking about now in a normal environment, like four blokes talking about it, having a bit of a laugh, Do you know what I mean? And just talking normally about it. But one of the challenges to that is getting people to listen, getting people to listen to the conversations that are happening. How have you found that throughout your journey of getting people to listen to you to begin with? And why should these kids listen to you and your clients? What's the secret to getting them engaged?
So I'll start with the kids first, and I'll move on to my clients because it's kind of two different sort of demographics. So the kids don't really have much of a choice. And that's how I basically kind of start it off. So when I go into schools, it's normally underprivileged schools I go to. Now, that's not to say that kids that are in private schools don't struggle, because they do, and I know they do. But the difference is their parents can throw money at it. They know what therapy is, they know what depression is. And so rightly or wrongly, that's the issue. But if you're going into like council estates where these kids have got no idea what mental health is, their parents got no idea what mental health is, and it's just like everything's just a bit of a joke, that's the kids I want to talk to. So I normally get them in an assembly first, and I basically say to them, listen, I know you don't want to be here, but if you listen to me for the next however long, like normally 45 minutes, I'll give you guys this information. And when I start to open up about my story first, because I'm a big bloke, got tattoos, the kids will sit there and be like, what? And especially when they hear that I'm an entrepreneur, because a lot of these naughty kids, quote unquote, want to be entrepreneurs. So then what you've got is you've got this big bloke with tattoos at the front of the room, talking to them in passion, and it's a male as well, so they may have a strong male role model. Instantly they're going to be drawn to it because they're like, wow.
Can I just ask you about that? Are you talking to young girls and young men?
Yes. So I don't work with any kids below year 9. So year 9 is something I've just started doing this year. And the reason why I'm a bit skeptical about it is the stuff I talk about, they aren't really, they don't really have the emotional intelligence to understand what I'm talking about. And they can't really articulate themselves well enough.
Yeah, they're development-wise for them, they're not ready for that yet.
Exactly. But year 10s, year 11s, year 12s and 13s is what I talk to. And in the assembly, it's a whole year assembly. And then what I'll say to the school is, give me your 15 to 20 worst students when it comes to attendance, attitude, whatever it is, and let me do my thing. And I'll say, you've got to give me one teacher that the kids kind of respect, because there's always that cool teacher. Sit them at the back of the room, and I will get the kids to open up and tell you why they hate school, why they hate teachers, and why they're struggling. And they do, because I start to break down their belief systems. I get them to open up about their belief systems.
Can I just ask as well? Going back to young lads and young girls. Obviously, you mentioned it yourself. You're a big birdie bloke. You've got tattoos. You talk about things like, you used to do weightlifting and all that sort of stuff. A manly guy. Obviously, for young men, that could be something really good for them to relate to. But how do you find any barriers relating to the young girls?
So normally when I'm with the young girls, and they're the quote unquote troubled kids.
Because I'm a father, I've got 2 daughters, so I think to myself sometimes, is there a barrier here?
Well, yeah,
for gender, like you.
I've got tattoos, and I shout at my girls, and they don't listen.
But this is when it comes to authority, though. So this is what I say to I don't say anything real different to the teachers do. But the problem is, you never listen to your parents, you never listen to teachers. So I'm not a teacher. I literally, what I'm wearing right now is what I wear in schools. So I wear a hoodie, I wear my Air Force Ones. This is what I wear. So straight away, it becomes very apparent I'm not a teacher.
Straight away.
Exactly. Now, when it comes to girls, it's a really interesting story here. That when I went to one of the schools this year, so I did this, she was in year 9 actually. So this year 9 assembly, and then did this break-off group. And this girl was just sat there at the front, and the face on her, like she was like not having any of it. But again, you could tell she was one of the popular kids. And I was going to these activities, and she was one-word answers. And I kept like prodding her. She went, "Why are you picking on me?" And I said, "You know why?" And just carried on. By the end of it, she started to open up a bit. I was like, broken through it. The school then said to me, like, "Wow, you need to come back and work with some more of our students." And I said, "I will, only if you let me have a one-to-one session with that girl." I said, "Cool, no problem." So if there's a teacher present, yep, cool, no problem. So anyway, do the other group, speak to this girl, and I said, "You hated me." Oh, so, no, first of all, she ran away for 10 minutes because when she found she got called into the hall to speak to me, she ran away. Not to speak to me, she just didn't, because no one told her. So she runs away. Anyway, they grab her back, and she's like, why am I here? She gets kind of mad, and I went, "I've chosen to come back and speak to you." And she went, "What?" I said, "I asked the school that if they wanted me back in, the condition was I get to speak to you." She was in look on her face. She couldn't believe that someone wanted to come speak to her. So she sits down and say, "Right, when I first started talking, you hated me, didn't you?" And she smiles. She went, "Yeah." I says, "By the end of it, I kind of won you around a bit, hadn't I?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I went, "What changed?" And she went, "You're the only person I've ever heard that talk sense." That was it. And that was it. And then spoke to her about a lot of stuff that she'd never opened up about before. And the teacher was listening and said, "I didn't know any of that stuff." Like bad stuff that's happened in her life.
So you said something that resonated with her.
Yeah, by speaking on her level.
Yeah.
Because when I go into schools, I'm not trying to preach. I make it very clear. I still have bad days. I don't ever try and preach to my clients. I still struggle. The difference is that I know myself and I'm in control. So when I have a bad day, it will be a bad day. It won't be months.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to these kids. I'm not there like, I'm superior. You guys are all kids. I'm like, no. This is the same workshop that I deliver to the adults in headquarters.
I'd seen you said that in one of your podcasts. You want people to know your vulnerabilities. You're not invincible, and we are all human. But there is ways of getting over it. That's
Because
what you sort of said.
imagine if I go in there and like have some like again God complex. Imagine in the gym that people can see straight through that.
Yeah.
I don't like how you pointed to me when you
I
said
know, yeah, I thought that.
See,
But
see God complex. You said I was pointing to him. I just moved my arm
We
around.
was talking about the diva attitude with the microphone. That's what it was all about.
Teachers are doing a job, though, aren't they, as well? So teachers have got to do a job. Parents are working. Do you know what I mean? For someone to come out of like what you're doing, just actually put it on them of what they need to do. That's going to hit them harder than anything else. Because teachers are talking about the subject, or there's everything.
Teachers are overworked. They're trying, and this is the thing. This is especially these kids are naughty. So the way that I break down these beliefs is basically I'll get sentences on the board, and they've got to finish the sentence. So it'll be people are. Now the rules are.
Where do you get these ideas from? Like, are these programs that you look up, or do you make these things up?
So there's one activity that I've got when it comes to drawing a face, and I've got that for Mikey. So that's Mikey's.
Oh, wicked. Shout out to Magic Mike.
That's something I do that just kind of like breaks the ice.
Yeah.
But for these ones here, it's just stuff that I've learnt myself. I've spent a lot of money figuring myself out.
Cool.
So
I've seen your book collection, by the way. Pretty impressive.
yeah, so there we go. Some of the old books.
Yeah.
So for me, it's the only rule is, and I say this to schools, if you want me to come in and work with these kids, the kids can swear. It's a safe space. They don't get detention, blah, blah. I said they're allowed to open up and swear.
Oh, you've already won them over.
Exactly.
Just
And
for
I
that.
say this to the kids. I say, you can say whatever word you want to say,
Yeah.
but if you're just going to start throwing out silly words, I'll get you kicked out. And
Yeah, you swearing in context, guys.
well, the thing is that they've got to be able to justify it. So you can put any word down that you want, but you've got to be able to justify it. That's the rule. So people are dickheads. Why? Stop breaking that down. Break it down again, another one. And I'll be like, teachers are cunts. Why?
C-bomb.
Be surprised how many times I hear that.
But then that gets you to the why. doesn't it?
Why?
Yeah.
And they start to break it down. And they're like, oh, because they always tell us off. Well, we'll talk to them about that. Like, they're not, they can wear coats inside, we can't. Okay, start to break it down. They always shout at me. Why'd they shout at me? Oh, because my shirt's untucked. Okay, so why is your shirt untucked? What do you mean? Why is your shirt untucked? It's like, right. Who here wants to own their own business? And again, it's the naughty kids, from about 3/4 and put their hand in the air. I said, okay, so those who don't want to own a business, you want to work for someone else. Okay. You've got to have personal standards. I said, you think that the school's put these rules in place for the school. How about you do it for yourself and your standards? Because if you're coming to me asking for a job or asking for money and you look scruffy, straight away, I am not going to give you the time of day. So you're not tucking your uniform in for the school. You're tucking your uniform in and wearing the right stuff for yourself. Why would you not hold yourself to a high standard? And you look at these kids and that. So you should want to look good. Why don't you want to look good for yourself? Self-respect. And straight away it clicks.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to get them to reframe some of this stuff because it's not the teacher's fault. And again, I had another kid that talked about teacher and he said, yeah, the teacher shouted at me, blah, blah. I said, okay, so why did it shout at you? Well, I did this thing. And then when they kicked me out of the class and as I was walking out, teacher, I said, whoa. So you did something and then the teacher then kicked you out of the class. Yeah. But the teacher went, okay, if you hadn't done that thing, the teacher wouldn't have kicked you out of the class.
It's almost like slowing it down and simplifying it for him.
But no buts. If you hadn't done this thing, the teacher wouldn't have kicked you out. And they're like,
how far after to talk to my kids?
but this is the thing. But they can't make the correlation. It's cause and effect.
But can I just go back to
It's a
the
good way of doing it.
the example about the shirt being tucked out?
Yeah.
So I followed you on that journey there of where you take that young person.
Yeah.
Do you ever? Is your the mindset coaching that you do? Do you ever take it down another level? So, for example, they may never tuck the shirt in. That's a part of looking scruffy as a result of low self-esteem, like that lack of self-worth.
Yep.
So rather than the practical side of problem solving, like what you're explaining, do any of these kids ever open up to you with regards to like emotional difficulties and trauma?
If I get them on a one-to-one, like that young girl, yes. But most of the time, I don't get them on a one-to-one basis.
Yeah, because you can't do that on a.
And again,
open
imagine
forum.
one of those naughty kids in the class of 20 talking about having low self-esteem.
Yeah.
Straight away, they're opening themselves up to get ripped.
Yeah.
Now, but that's what I do when I talk about the podcast. I basically say to some of the kids, listen, just follow me on Instagram.
Yes.
I've got all my content on there. So my podcast said, if you need anything, reach out. And the amount of kids that do reach out and say, listen, I'm really struggling with self-esteem. The best thing is when I get kids from last year message me saying, listen, I'm really struggling with this, or my friend's struggling with this. I'm like, yes, you were listening.
Yeah, interestingly, because I remember on your podcast, I swore, and I went, can I swear on your podcast? And you went, yeah, it's okay, but I don't, because the kids listen to my podcast.
Yeah.
But
That's a big thing
interestingly,
for me.
When I was researching you in preparation for this, what I like to do is go back to people's number one podcast.
Oh, don't.
Oh, wow.
Why have you done that?
You've come a
Why
lot,
have you
but the
done that?
thing is, I think that it's actually quite remarkable because you still had that same passion in your very first podcast.
Same passion.
You spoke like you speak now. There was just a blank white wall behind you, and you swore a lot more.
Yeah, and then that's the thing. It's I realised with what I want to do, and this goes back to that big organisation I went to, and I said about the people who saw afterwards. This is a massive life lesson for me. Again, when I say I'm not perfect. So this was actually the first gig I ever got. So when we were leaving in the elevator, so Mikey goes to me, "Mate, you absolutely smashed that. Like, how many of these you done?" I went, "That was my first one." So I actually bragged to this top organisation. And again, it's going to show you, like,
you told them that you
done loads.
Yeah,
Done loads.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, I go in there and it was recorded because they're meant to go out to every single branch. Now, because I was nervous, as you do, I swore a lot. And I mean a lot. Now, then the company said, "Oh, we can't." Bear in mind, all these people came up to after, so I clearly had an impact. So it wasn't a case of I swore a lot and didn't have impact. I clearly resonated with it on a level. Then the HR lady said, "We can't share this with the rest of the organisation." I went nuts, thinking, you don't care about this. And this, you talk about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I recently went back and listened to that. I died a bit inside.
Yeah, but you don't realise, do you? Because since watching these back, I've realised that I swear more than what I thought I did.
Yep.
And I'm conscious now because I don't want to.
No, and that's why you got to self-reflect. And that's why people say to me, like, because everyone always laughs at me because I always listen to my own podcasts. So they'll get in my car and I'm like, "Are you listening to yourself?" I'm like, yeah, because I want to improve.
Yeah.
Like, and when I'm on stage, I'll watch myself back. I get it recorded if I can, and I watch it back. What are my mannerisms like?
But doesn't swearing make you? There is a factor around swearing, isn't there? Like it makes you more honest, or more
Chris
people.
mentioned it, and that it's in a different part of your brain, and so his swear words didn't get affected by speech.
But there's a stat that people who swear more are either more trusting or more honest.
Get received as
or,
being more honest by
something
the
like
listener or something like that.
yeah.
So there is a genuine side of that you are a normal person.
Do you
if
fucking
you
I want to
say
see
that?
your first video now you said
But
that.
the thing is, I don't have a problem with swearing. Society has a problem with swearing, and I realise in order for me to
Correct.
get for me to get to the level I want to and impact the amount of people I do, I kind of need to conform a little bit,
Right, yeah,
conform
that's
a
fair
little
enough.
bit. But when you get me on my one-to-one calls with my clients, I will swear. When
What
I'm on
about on our podcast? Can you swear?
Well, I have sworn.
Yeah,
But,
you saw, yeah.
but notice,
Have you?
if you listen back to it,
I've been watching.
if you listen back to it, I
You
will.
said you dropped the C-bomb.
Oh yeah,
but that was an example.
Oh, that was in context of someone else.
And if you
Yeah,
listen,
context.
there was a few examples. When you listen back to it, there's a few examples I would have sworn normally, but in my brain, I'm like, don't swear.
Yeah.
Because with it, and I know that you guys do swear on this, so it's a safe space. But still, for me, I'm like, I'm trying to. I don't want people to judge me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
I'm not saying that about. I don't care if people judge me, but I want people to listen to the information
Yes, you
because I
want-
can
and this is-
genuinely help them. So it's like,
Yeah.
if swearing's going to put you off, right? I cannot swear. Like, fine. If you don't want me to swear, just listen to what I'm saying.
But this goes back to the question that I asked a minute ago in regards to your challenges around getting people engaged.
Yep.
And, I was a youth worker for over a decade, and the biggest challenge every day wasn't knowing what to do with the young people, what advice to give them. It was getting them to engage. How do you feel around the adults that you work with in regards to how receptive to your help, how effective, you have body transformation, you do your personal training, you know what to do. When it comes to your mindset coaching with adults, how are you finding that? Are they engaging with you?
Yes, because they're paying me money.
Yes.
So straight away, if
So
someone's
they,
paying me,
so they've
That's the
invested.
difference.
it's straight away,
Yeah.
it's straight away. That, like, if I'm coming to, I don't know necessarily what you guys do, but if I'm coming to you and say, right, and you say to me, I'm X amount of money for a service, not necessarily for like building or anything like that. Let's use your builder.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you are, but builder, and you say, right, this is what it is.
I
I'm gonna
am.
build this. Okay, I'm gonna build this for you.
Great
Then,
guess.
and then I turn around. I'm just like, yeah, but what about this? You're gonna be like, mate, you pay me to do a job.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I've got to trust you now. At the end product, if I'm like, mate, you said you were going to do this, and this is the outcome. That can be, but for me, straight off the outgo,
It's not about outcomes. What I'm asking about
the
is
buy-in.
the buy-in.
Yes, the original buy-in is because they're paying me money and they've seen my results.
Yeah.
I'm trusting you to build my thing because I've seen your results. So therefore, for you to get those results, you've got a process. I'm not going to question it because I'm not a builder.
Yeah.
So clients that come into me, they're paying me because they clearly are struggling in some way, shape, or form, and they want the results they've seen that I can get other people. So straight away in the consultation, I'm kind of breaking down, and it's that level of trust. So first of all, I've got authority, and then second of all, in the consultation, I get them to open up, and then I can relate to them. So again, I don't know them specifically, but when they're talking to me, everyone's the same. Fundamentally, we're the same. We've got conscious, we've got subconscious. And everywhere in the subconscious, we all kind of got the same insecurities and stuff like that. So when they start to talk to
We've
me,
all got the same insecurities.
we all want to be loved, accepted, like
yeah. So
fit
when
in.
you go down level, it all comes down to love and rejection.
Right, right.
essentially.
Yeah, big picture, the
exactly.
grand
So,
scheme
so,
of things.
so I'm not necessarily saying that I know their story,
Yeah.
because again, you've got women that have been sexually abused. Also,
Yeah.
that's never happened to me. but I can kind of understand from things that I've been through. So then it puts us on a level.
Yeah.
And then they're talking to me and I'm just letting them talk. And I'm like, right, so that's happened in the past. I don't want us to dwell here. What if I can give you this outcome, which is you living a life of freedom where you feel safe and you can just go about your everyday life? Yeah, that's what I want. Okay, cool. So straight away, well, here's the process. Here's what we're going to go through. So I map it out for them so they know what the journey is.
So they're already bought in. They've invested.
Yep.
So therefore, they're going to be proactive with you
Absolutely.
when you're working with them. The reason why I'm asking questions about buy-ins and engagement and things, because I think that the beautiful thing about young people, when you're working with young people, they have far less barriers for buy-in. It doesn't take much.
They're
to get
amazing.
them to buy in.
All they want to do, the naughty kids,
Yeah.
what car do I drive?
Yeah.
How much money do I earn?
Yeah.
And once I tell them
But
that,
it's
that's it, they're bought in.
But it's amazing with particularly with men. There are so many barriers to buying now, and I think that engagement is the key to really unlocking how to support mental health in an effective way.
Yeah.
The barriers like egos and financial status and personal health, all those sorts of things are things that will prevent people from buying into conversations like this.
But it's the empathy. So let's say, for example,
yeah.
I'm talking to someone and let's say I see you struggling. And I'll be like, I get on today and you're like, oh, I'm struggling a bit. I'm using a real example. So I was in the gym and there's this guy there and he's kind of mean mugging me. I'm thinking,
He's what?
mean mugging. Do you know when you get this staring at you for no reason? He's like, looks like he's trying to
On
start
his
a fight
own?
with me.
On his own? How old? Your age,
now
or-
I know.
Yeah.
Now I know he's 23.
Oh, young
I
lad
genuinely
then.
thought he was like 35, 40.
Wow,
Anyway,
okay.
so anyway, it happens a few times. Anyway, I'm working out, and then there's like 3 or 4 times I've seen him. I'm thinking, what's this guy's problem with me? He then doing these 50 kilogram dumbbell things. I see that he's struggling, so I go and help and support him. And then he's like, "Oh, cheers, mate, really appreciate it." And he starts talking to me really open and honestly. He's like, "Oh, so what do you do?" So I start telling him. He went, "Mate, I really struggle with my mental health." And he starts to open up. I says, "Mate, I genuinely thought that you was like smack me." And he went, "No, when I come in here, that's where I release all my anger, etc." But the buy-in was I shared my story first, and I basically was like, "Listen, I've really struggled with mental health. This is my business. This is what I do." And he's like, "Really?" And then he's like, "And this is how I knew." He then starts to ask me questions about it. So I was like, well, if he wasn't that bothered, he didn't want to know, he wouldn't have asked questions. So he's like, "Oh, so what do you mean you struggled then? Like, oh, how do you overcome it?" And he starts to ask these questions. I'm like, okay, so I start to share my story.
Most people wouldn't approach him either, would they?
No,
They wouldn't
and
be
that's exactly the point.
Yeah.
They'd have judged him. So I was chatting to him for an hour and a half. And then the last thing I said to him was, "Mate, if you're ever struggling, here's my Instagram, drop me a message." 3 days later, drops me a message. "Mate, I'm having an awful day today. Like, I'm really, really struggling." I then reached back out to him straight away, said, "Listen," blah, blah, went back and forth, and he said, "I genuinely wasn't expecting a reply from you."
So obviously, one of the key things there, though, I'm hearing is that you are so open and will immediately, in any given moment,
Absolutely.
give up your vulnerability to somebody.
Yep.
In any environment.
Any environment.
You're
Don't
literally
care.
so
Room full of women, room full of men. Don't care.
so is it safe to say that actually the majority of people, particularly men, don't have that ability to do that?
I think they're afraid of judgment.
And so what's the key to doing that? Like, if you could give someone advice around being open and share that vulnerability in the same way as you do, what have you learned from that?
You've got to talk to the right person, first of all. So if you are struggling, there's someone right now who's listening to this and they're really struggling and thinking, as he's just talking about his mental health, I wouldn't even know where to begin. You've got to first of all have an honest conversation with yourself, first and foremost. You've got to actually be like, I am struggling. I'm genuinely struggling
admit
here.
it to yourself first.
Acceptance.
Accept
Yeah.
it. Accept it and admit to yourself, because we all try as guys. I'm fine. Man
yeah.
up. Stop being a pussy. We have this internal monologue with ourselves, which is great, and sometimes it's really helpful. But if you're genuinely struggling with your mental health, that is a very, very dangerous game to play. So the first thing you've got to do is have an honest conversation with yourself. I'm struggling real bad.
Have an honest conversation with yourself. And that's the interesting part, isn't it? Because actually, do we have honest conversations with ourselves? Never mind everybody else.
No, we don't.
That's like step one,
no.
isn't it? That's like step minus.
And that's
one.
in life anyway, in general. We all share this story. We've all got this thing that's happened to us, and we create stories in our head to basically back up this narrative we've got of ourselves. So again, another story, when I was on Mikey's podcast, and going back a little bit, I had an ex-girlfriend try to kill me. So struggling really bad with her mental health.
Are you going to pick up on that story?
I'm going to. So I'm going with it. So
you've got my attention.
So you've got my
Had to
attention.
kill
Bam.
you.
Got you
Out
hooked
for
in.
details.
Got you hooked in. So
I've got good faith. Like,
she was struggling with her mental health, and I didn't know it at the time. She was medicated, not taking a medication. I knew nothing about mental health at this point. This was before my depression. So I was doing my best, trying to help her, and it's literally the blind leading the blind, because I had depressive tendencies at this time. I had no idea. So
What age was you?
this was when I was 26, 27.
And she was similar age?
Similar age, maybe 25, but she was a model, covered in tattoos, stunning. So this whole thing happened, this whole big event happened, blah, blah, blah. And I was sharing this story on Mikey's podcast. And as I was sharing, bear in mind, this is 33-year-old Dan now, sharing the story on Mikey's podcast. And I've shared this story multiple times. So as I'm sharing this story, which is why I've not divulged too much into this story, there's a reason.
Yeah.
I then started sharing a story with Mikey, and I stopped at the end of it and went, I actually don't know how much of that story is true. I said, the key facts are true. She did try and have a knife to my throat, called the police, she got arrested.
Right.
But the rest of it, I've told myself a story so many times because I was in victim mode.
Yeah.
Like, this happened to me, woe is me. And I basically constructed a story that backs my narrative. And I've told it so many times that when I was on Mikey's, I had this awareness, I was like, I actually don't know how much that's true. So when it goes back to being honest with myself, I hadn't been honest with myself about that story for 5, 6, 7 years.
Right, Dan, I'm going to stop you there for 1 second
Go.
because you're going over far too much really good content.
Okay. I told you, got to slow me down. I'll go all day.
I want to
for you
pick up on
guys.
something,
Yeah.
and we didn't do it now or later, but, the sentence here, victim mode, and the effect that has on us, and the lies we tell ourselves as a result of being in victim mode, the way we hypnotize ourselves through being on victim mode. I want to hear your views on that, because I know we've briefly spoken about this before, and you got quite passionate when I brought it up. But obviously, you didn't tell me your views because you was interviewing me.
But my views on that is you had every excuse to go into victim mode and woe is me. Every excuse under the sun, and you didn't. And that's why I've got such respect for you as a human being. And like I said, that podcast was phenomenal. Go check it out on the Prana Project.
Nice plug.
Boom.
For me, when it comes to victim mode, it's easy. It's very, very easy. Everyone has got a story. And if you listen...
Well, it's easy to become victim.
Everyone's got... Listen. In your life, listen to people.
Yeah.
Everyone is the victim in their life. Everyone. How many people go to you and say, you know what? I was an arsehole in that last relationship. I was the problem. I'm not surprised that she acted that way. Or is it, my ex was this, my boss is that. Everyone is the victim, and this happened to me. And yes, this thing happened, and it may have been atrocious. Absolutely awful, like in Joe's situation. And again, things are even worse than that. Okay?
Yeah.
What is sat there in that mindset going to do? It's going to lead to a life.
Regardless of the truth behind
truth,
it.
the
That's
truth,
the key
the
thing.
truth is the truth.
Yeah, the truth is the truth.
It does not take it away.
Yeah.
Yes, it sucked. Yes, it was hot. Yes, it was awful. No, you did not deserve it. You did nothing wrong. However, you staying there is completely disempowering you.
It serves no
purpose
whatsoever.
And all you're going to do is attract other people with that same victim mindset, and you're going to sit there beating these drums, and you're going to go nowhere with your life.
And constantly refuse to take any responsibility for anything that's ever happened to you, because it's always someone else's fault.
Exactly. And
You're
even
always
if it was, you can take responsibility for your life right now.
Yeah.
So even if you want to take no responsibility for that thing, okay, is talking about that serving you? No. So take responsibility for your life right now, because
Start afresh.
the only thing you can control is your attitude. And your attitude is your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. That's the only thing that you can control in your life. Control it right now. And again, it's not as easy said than that, because obviously if there's some trauma attached to it, again, fully understand that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because what you're saying is other people will see that, and there's a big step to make before you get to there.
But the first thing is
you're not
admitting.
brushing off.
No.
Exactly, yeah.
And listen, I'm not brushing off anything.
No, I know,
This thing happened. It happened. But just sat there dwelling on it is giving that person, that situation, or that thing all of your power. And especially if someone has done something atrocious to you, why give them any more of your time, energy, and effort? Because that's all the power that you've got.
Yeah.
Your energy is the only thing you've got. Stop giving it to that person, because that person's not thinking about you. Like, you're thinking about them, and all you do is giving them the power. So you've got to, however that looks like for you, therapy, counselling, whatever, you've got to make the decision, I want to get out of this, and just start the ball rolling, which then ties back nicely to the lies that we talk to ourselves and the monologue that we have.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think going on what you just said then, when we have to reflect on the fact that when we are in victim mode, we're suffering. Okay, so we're in that suffering mindset, but sometimes without realising that, or realising it, but we're also still trying to make progress somewhere else. And I the analogy to that is like banging your head against a brick wall, taking a paracetamol for your headache, and then bang your head against the wall again.
It's driving with the brakes on.
Well,
driving with the brakes on.
having a drink in victim mode as well
Definitely.
sends you down a path of just a spiral of
And you don't drink, do you then? Tell me about your decision not to drink. When have you stopped drinking?
So when I lived in America, so you're going to ask me what age I was.
20.
I was 19.
Close.
And I got really badly beaten up when I was drunk by girlfriend's ex-boyfriend
In America.
in America,
Wow.
really badly beaten up. Now, I say really badly beaten up, again, stories that we tell ourselves. So what actually happened in this fight, no, true story, because again, straight away, I've not really spoke about this a lot, but when I had that conversation with Mikey, I then thought about, well, what other stories I've been telling myself? And the story that I told myself this, I got really badly beaten up. The truth is, this guy knocked on the door. I was asleep in bed with my girlfriend. He knocks at the door. My girlfriend gets out. She didn't come back. I was like, what the hell's going on here? So I then got up and tried to figure out what's going on. He then smacked me around the back of the head. I then got him on the floor in a headlock and said, are we done? He then said yes. He then bottled me and then beat me up. So I basically won the fight.
Oh, yeah. You're in the
I'd won.
midsection.
I'd stopped. He's on the floor. He's done.
Yeah.
Are we done? Yeah. And then get up to go back inside.
Cheated.
Cheated. So there is some context here, but in my head, the victim mode was I got this. I was like, no, I actually won the fight, and I'd never give myself credit for that. I was like, yeah, I won the fight, and then that thing happened, and I realised I didn't want to be out of control of my body again, because once it happened, I couldn't defend myself because I was really, really drunk.
Yeah, you did. You won.
I
You had him in
won.
headlock. He said you was
but
done.
And then you gave up. If you're sober, you wouldn't have given up.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. If I'm
you wouldn't have trusted
he was
him.
drunk.
But if I'm
wasn't
sober,
Let's get a beer.
But if I was sober, it never would have escalated to that level. It never would have escalated to that level. So for me, I was like, I don't want to be out of control of my body again.
Yeah.
Not drinking, drink cold turkey. I've not drank since. So yeah, that's that story behind that.
Fair enough.
You're breaking all my things down here. Like it's.
That's a drastic change.
I've
though,
gone
that is.
through a bit of time of not us going, but of not drinking, and it does give you those elements of knowing what spirals you a lot more.
For me, and people
me.
can have views on this. Alcohol is a poison. It's also a depressant. Nothing, and I mean nothing, good comes out of drinking alcohol. People say, yeah, but the good times. I'm telling you now, you can have the same good times when you're sober. You enjoy them a hell of a lot more. For me, there is no excuse. It's a societal thing without going down a rabbit hole here.
Some
It's
people
poison.
use it as escapism.
They
don't
do,
they?
but it's also a poison. If I had a cup and said, this is poison, would you drink it? You'd be
Yeah.
like, no. Yet that's what we do.
And it makes you dance around, look stupid, take your clothes off.
And do stupid things, make bad decisions. Make bad decisions and like,
Yep.
come in.
That's what you do, though. That's what
Yeah.
that's what you've been doing for a
Yeah,
long
and again,
time.
and then afterwards,
Yeah.
the next day, you feel absolutely awful.
Yeah.
So not only do you act like an idiot that night, then the next day, you literally look how many days hungover we've wasted.
What if you've got
It
it?
don't
What
make
if
any
you've got
sense
it
when
under
you-
control and you can enjoy it
Do you?
and moderately have a nice time?
Okay, so you've got it under control. Try not drinking.
Playing devil's advocate.
No, you're not. You're trying to stick up
No,
for
you're
you.
not. No,
Well,
here's
it's a
the
good time.
situation. Here's the situation.
Yeah.
If you genuinely think you've got it under control,
Yeah.
don't drink for 3
Moderately
months.
enjoy
For
it.
how many?
3 months. Just
Okay.
don't drink.
That's
Don't have a
the
single
test.
drink. Well, no,
Okay.
no. Don't give me a number to it. It's like,
yeah, have a test.
Because what you'll do is, one's fine. Is it? You've just said you're in control. I said don't drink for 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah, but it's my birth. I said 3 months.
I went to a wedding sober, and that was
But
good.
then look how other people
It was
are.
lovely.
Look how other
It was
people are
lovely
when it gets to the
until
night. thing.
10 o'clock.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah.
So it's in this
Yeah.
situation, genuinely. If you think you're in control, don't do it. So again, on a bit of a tangent here, pornography. Every guy's like, I'm not addicted to pornography. Cool. Don't watch it for 3 months. See what happens. Honestly, we are not as in control as we think, and it's by design. So if you genuinely think you're in control of your drink, do not have a single sip for 3 months.
I
And
don't want
Go on,
to.
no, go on. No,
So
go
we
on.
get red flag.
Why?
Can we get a red
Why?
flag popping
How
up?
about-
3 months
control.
is
Why?
a long time. I could do it easily.
No, you
Oh,
don't.
but
you
straight
can't
away.
say that.
3 months.
But it's
You
straight
can't
away.
say you could do it and then not do it.
Straight away, I don't want
Luke's
to.
stopped drinking for 2 hours and he thinks he's a Buddhist. You have beer, so you lot shut up.
I'm not saying
I
I'll do
actually
it.
stopped
No,
drinking.
but listen,
I
I'm
actually
not-
stopped drinking for 2 months, by the way.
Okay.
We won't go too smatic.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not.
If you
I'm-
can't do it, don't do
I'm
it.
not
It's
advocating drinking. You've got a good point, and I appreciate it, and I'm impressed. But for me,
You're going to carry on having a monetary good time, aren't you?
every now and then, if I want to be, I'm going to have one because I want to and because I can, not because I need it.
And
that's the
I hear you, and
difference.
this is the thing, and
Yeah.
I don't judge you for that. I'm not going to make
I
you do
do.
anything. This is the thing
Yeah.
for me. I don't try and say to anyone, you got to stop drinking. So I'm
Yeah,
not
of
there.
course,
I'm not
everybody's
there.
different,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and that's what. But you get people that do turn around and say like, right now they start be arguing with you. What do you mean? I'm like, mate, it's your life. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just explaining to you. It's a depressant.
Yeah,
It's a
I
poison.
agree with you.
You know
yeah.
that information.
Yeah, yeah.
You're a fully grown man.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do. It's not my life.
I
my
love
life's
how
good.
he's looking at me like he's some sort of teetotal guy.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Because I've been getting ripped
He
right
had a beer last night. I'll tell you. He had a beer- he had a beer last night.
He's looking at you,
check
proper
it.
judging you.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You had a beer last night.
For
Carry
audio,
on,
for audio
Dad, sorry.
people, it's not me
Wow.
that was sat there judging. Just for audio, or just audio
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
It wasn't
yeah.
me that was judging.
Yeah.
I do think though that if you're going to make a claim, that you could do something, I think you should do it, or say,
Yeah.
"Man, if I could do that."
Yeah, you got to make a stance on that.
Yeah,
You can't go,
you've got
I
to-
can
you've
do
got to
it,
have an
but
honest
I'm not going
conversation
to.
now.
Oh, you talked to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
It's an honest conversation now. and
Yeah.
It's hard to have that.
If you can't do it, you
3
can't do it.
months is. I don't want to do it.
No, but you can't then.
No, I definitely can.
You can't.
Let's all do it.
Okay,
Okay.
Hold on. Let's all do it.
I'll do it.
He's full of shit anyway.
I'm getting married, so I can't go to my
there you
wedding.
go. And my 40th coming up. So that's my point.
So I win.
Yeah.
Yay! By default, get us a beer.
Have we got any beers? No, I don't want a beer.
No, but you're right. I agree with you. I'm not, like I say, we're not advocating drinking. And yeah, it's a poison. It's a depressant, and some people use it.
Because I know how hard it is. I had a sex addiction. This again, part of my story.
A sex addiction.
Sex addiction. So when I was depressed, the worst
What,
part
have you
of
not
my
got
life,
one anymore then?
No. The worst part of my life.
We're getting into that.
The worst part of my life, when I was depressed, I felt nothing. I felt absolutely nothing. The only time I felt something was having sex. So then I became addicted to it. And I'm not going to go into any more detail than that because it was quite
It's almost
horrific.
like a drug then, isn't it? It's like
That's
you're
exactly
chasing
what it was.
that,
It was
that
escapism.
high.
It was, and that's what
It was
was.
the only thing that was giving you what you needed.
Anything.
life.
Just
Yeah,
anything.
giving you
And
Yeah,
that was
short
it.
little burst.
And it was not good. And it's a time in my life where I've had to overcome a lot of that. So we can talk about like why I'm so open and honest.
Can you talk about how long that lasted?
At the same time I was depressed, about 4 to 6 months. And I had a problem with sex before that. I say problem, like I just was pretty out of control. Like drinking alcohol, I was kind of like that when it comes to sex. This then just amplified it massively. And when it comes to me talking open and honestly, being vulnerable, I've had to do a lot of work unpacking that because I've had so much guilt and shame around that period of my life for how I treated people, the things that I've done, the things that I've said. Like, it's nothing illegal, by the way. I've not like hurt anybody, but like just how I am now and what I understand. People have feelings, and the way that I acted and treated people, I'm ashamed and embarrassed, and I had to.
How did you get to that point?
Of what do I
realization, like the reflection, and
that's only been recent for that stage here. So I'm 33 now. I hit rock bottom at 28. So it's only really been since about 31 that things have really amplified because the more I've gone down this rabbit hole, and this is where when I'm talking to kids and when I'm talking to my clients, I practice what I preach. I'm not one of these people that reads a book and then regurgitates it. Like I literally do exactly. So right now when we came here and we had to go back home. At any point,
and you say
we haven't mentioned that bit.
Yeah.
No, but at any point, did you see me get stressed?
No,
angry, agitated?
Not at all, no.
Because like, okay, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So can I control? What can I control in the situation?
And you actually said to me, didn't you? You said that it happened for a reason.
It happened for a reason.
Yeah,
Everyone's upset. It happened for a reason. So I was driving home. It's like, this has happened for a reason. I'm not sure what it is. I was completely calm. I was in control. There's no stress.
Yeah.
So that's not. And that's not me.
Just a better mentality to have in life, isn't it? If you have that mentality, you're going to be sound.
I want to talk to you guys. And I was laughing about literally the banter we had while that was going on.
Yeah.
I was like, this can be a great conversation. Like, I've got nothing to do
I think
today.
the reason was me, by the way, but along the line somewhere. But yeah.
So Luke blew up someone's what's it called, Charlie? Luke blew up Charlie's interface.
That sounds
With his dodgy
expensive.
I tell you what,
with his dodgy
that sounds
electrics.
like a great name of a band.
Luke blew up his
Charlie's
interface.
interface.
Yeah, it does.
Luke blew up Charlie's interface. So Dan is our guest.
Saved the day in a positive way.
He went back home and got us a new one.
Got all his own equipment for our podcast.
And he took the bins out and he just walked the dog and cooked dinner. Things
What a
were
guy.
meant to
Yeah,
be.
but what a guy.
Yeah.
That's what you get on this podcast.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what you get.
That's the thing for me. It's like, it's not just, and this is where you get a lot of people where they read a book and they regurgitate it. There's a lot of people that do that. But for me, it's like, I want to be able to have a conversation with therapists, counsellors, and then be like, oh, this guy gets it. Because I'm not a therapist and not a counsellor.
The thing is with the whole book thing, like I read a lot of books, I try and get it up, but it's really hard to maintain all the information when you learn about these ways. However, for me, it's all the stuff that I'm fascinated with is what I retain, and the stuff that I can't, I'm not as interested in, kind of falls away.
I did a podcast on this, by the way. Literally,
really?
that comes out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because my thing is when it comes to self-help books, people are obsessed with self-help books and they don't do anything. But now, I don't know if I told you when you came to me, now I read one book and I will literally spend 2 weeks. I read every day and I'll spend 2 weeks on the same chapter. And I get the dictionary out of my phone, and if I don't understand a word or its context, so I fully understand what I'm reading. I'm not reading to gain knowledge, because knowledge without action is useless. And we're all going around trying to gain knowledge. We all know how to be better. If I look around the room, do you know how to be 1% better? Yeah. Do you know how to be 1% better? Yeah. We all know how to be 1% better, but we're not doing it. Why aren't we doing it?
So you're reading it to instill it.
I'm doing it to understand. I
Live
don't
it.
just want to
It's
read. I
really
want to
patient
understand.
reading. It's investing time and focus and energy into it, isn't it?
And that's it. And then when you do that, guess what? You give the energy and attention to it, you get it back. So that's for me. And it's changed the way that I'm learning and understanding things, because I'm talking to people all the time, whether it's kids, whether it's clients of mine, like amazing guys like yourself or Mikey. I'm always learning. So it's like, I want to understand what's going on because I want to help more people. And I don't know everything, and I want to.
Reading as well, when you explain the reading part of that, obviously Joe reads loads of books, he likes to tell everyone.
It's the first time I've ever said that.
So you say it to me in private a lot. No, but in honesty, he reads a lot of books.
Says it to me in private a lot.
He texts
By the
me.
way, I read books.
He messaged me.
Got a cup of tea, Joe? Yeah, just so you know, I read books as well.
Anyway,
Yeah,
I just thought I'd get
that
dig in
definitely
there.
happens.
But no, you do read a lot of books, and he does talk to me about reading. And I do try and read as many books as I can. But what I've learned is I've had to go back and read a lot more. Rather than I was going through books.
Talk about Billy Blue Hat, by the way.
Yeah,
What do you know about?
yeah. I've got to stage 1 reading, and it's really good for me. No, but getting it into your brain and understanding it. People read a book and go, "Oh, brilliant," but I've learned that you don't understand it, or you have to go back and read it.
Read the same chapter
Yeah.
for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That caterpillar's well hungry.
Yeah. And this is what you
That's
say.
what I
This is
figured
why you
out
don't
me
like
reading
talking
it.
in the room.
Yeah, loads of
I'm
stuff.
sharing.
That
I was sharing
caterpillar.
there about my reading.
Sorry. Hey, humour is a good thing.
Yeah,
There you go.
agreed. When it's funny. Yeah, but yeah.
When you were talking about everything happened for a reason and no stress, that is that's a learn or adopt a complete mindset. It's not just a practice. Tell yourself that everything's gonna be okay, or tell yourself that it's all happened for a reason. Because, like I said, that information goes in, and then 5 minutes later, you forgot about it. What kind of habits do you use to ensure that you maintain that mindset?
So it is taught, and it's repetition. So if you look back at me when I was 28, 29, 30, I had a horrendous anger issue. Awful. Because again, I didn't understand my emotions. And as a guy, when you don't understand your emotions, you don't know what's going on,
angry. Yeah.
you basically get angry. Because it's like, I don't know what I'm feeling, angry. Yeah. So it's then only looking back at that and basically undoing the work on this. So we've got the conscious and the subconscious. So in our life, the results that we get are a direct correlation with our subconscious. Because right now, none of you guys are really consciously thinking what you're saying. I'm not thinking about what I'm saying. I'm just talking. My subconscious is talking to you. I'm not consciously thinking, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to say that. And then afterwards, we're going to talk about this. My subconscious is going. Just like when my heart's beating and my arms are moving, I'm not thinking about it, I'm just doing it. So you're having a conversation with my subconscious. Our subconscious is where our habits live. So you've got your beliefs, you've got your habits, and you've got your self-image all live in your subconscious mind. Now, again, without going into too much information here, like when you're a kid, that's when it kind of mainly gets programmed. It can also get programmed through trauma as an adult, blah, blah, blah. But normally these things called paradigms, it comes through repetition. So, for example, if you keep telling a kid that he's a naughty kid, guess what? He's going to believe he's a naughty kid. So we've got all these beliefs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, as an adult, I've had to keep saying to myself, so in that situation earlier on, me 2 years ago, internally, I'd have been like, these guys, the petrol, I'd have been exploded. But then what I've had to have done was, right, we're not going to be this person anymore. What are we going to do instead? So then I've then had to teach myself, and through repetition and through practice, I've now taught myself, because how do you destroy darkness? With light. So I've got this dark practice. I can't turn the dark switch off. I've got to turn the light on. So like, well, this is what I want to do. This is the
you're
positive thing.
manifesting your own reality, aren't you?
In a sense, yeah. In a sense, manifestation, that is another hour talking about that. But it's essentially something like that. It's basically, I'm consciously, so you've got your conscious, subconscious. I'm using my conscious brain. Your conscious is the gatekeeper to the subconscious, meaning the conscious is the only thing that can allow something into the subconscious.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're switching like your emotional response to a positive.
Yeah, but through choice.
Yeah.
I'm using my conscious faculty, my high mental faculties to be like, this is the person I want to be. These are the habits I'm going to do. And then over time, through repetition, it becomes a habit. So that's why, again, do I still get angry? 100%. I'm not going to say that I don't. But I don't get myself into situations where I allow that to be a regular thing.
Yeah,
If it does happen,
control,
and if it does happen, I say to myself, I will literally, as soon as I
Probably
can.
should be angry.
Exactly. Yeah, someone's going to go and punch my mum.
Yeah.
Got to get angry, got to defend. I can't be like, everything happens for a reason. It's like, no, get off my mum.
I was going to say, oh, it'll be okay.
Oh, everything happens for a reason, Mum. You'll be all right.
Why do you protect me? Everything happens for a reason. So, but in that situation, like,
That's a great analogy.
but outside that situation,
Yeah.
it's like, right, how do I want to respond to this? And then I just again, self-talk, how we talk to ourselves. Like, we can choose it. The problem is we're just not aware of it. Most of us are just living around in this autopilot.
And you've got to do it long enough to become a habit as well.
That's it.
the-
Consciously doing it, yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got to want to do it, first of all. Because people say they want to change their habits. They don't really want to.
No, they just kind of want to.
They kind of want to, like kind of giving up alcohol.
Yeah.
But if you really wanted to do it,
points at you then, Ben.
but if you really...
Bear in mind, you all three of us drink.
Well,
Just saying.
only one of us has got a problem, won't stop it.
Evidently.
But that's the thing. But if you don't want to do it, but this thing, we lie to ourselves because we want to look good to everyone. No, it's New Year, new me. I'm going to lose all this weight. Do you actually want to lose the weight you say you do? Because most of the time
Talk
you
is
don't.
cheap.
You want to eat the cake, you want to do this, but there'll be a stage and a time when you genuinely, with every fibre of your being, are fed up. That's when you'll want to make a change. Until then, just be honest with yourself. You want the cake, you don't want to change, you want to drink alcohol, and that is absolutely fine. When you're ready to have an honest conversation with yourself and ask, why am I drinking the alcohol? Why am I using food as an escapism? What's the emotional, why am I using this as an emotional crutch? When you want to have that honest conversation, myself and other people can help you. But until then, we can only meet you 50% of the way. We can't go 60%.
That comfort zone, isn't it?
That's a whole other conversation, but it's because it is uncomfortable. Like
you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, we've created this identity and it's safe. Especially again, if it comes to people that are bigger when it comes to food, it's a bit of their identity. And fundamentally, if you're the angry, aggressive guy, that's your role. You're big, you're tattooed, and all the women love you, and your kids, you're the protector. But you don't like that. If you then decide you don't want to be that anymore, well, then who are you? And that's the question.
That's the scary thing when people see that. As well.
Like the funny fat friend. And then they're then not fat anymore. Well, are they going to be funny?
Yeah.
And you laugh, but they have the whole mental breakdown because it's an identity crisis. So what you're doing is we're trying to change these habits. But what if people now don't like me because of this? What if my wife doesn't like me because I'm not aggressive anymore? What if I'm not the protector? All these questions happen. And then what you get is internal conflict. And that's what I've got to try and guide my clients through. That can be a real problem because you're basically stuck now between these two identities and you're like, well, who actually am I? And we're not our body. We're not our name. This is a whole other conversation that your kind of brother touched on. Like we're spiritual beings living in a physical body with an intellect.
So talking about taking action is essentially what you're saying. People don't really want to take the action that's needed. And going back to habits and how you continue to live in a healthy way in that regard. What about things like faith? Like, so as you're talking, I'm sat here thinking, okay, yeah, habits. I've got some habits that I need to change and all that sort of stuff. But what helps me continue to keep that mindset of things happen for a reason is I always say to myself, have faith, embrace faith. Or do you ever think about that? Or are you religious or spiritual in any way?
What do you have faith in?
I have faith in my experience that I'm having here in a place that we call Earth, and everything that happens, every action or eventuality or probability will happen because that is what either is supposed to happen or is what I've created, more about what I've created. So my actions up until this point in this moment are going to fall onto a next one, and that is just what was supposed to happen after what's just happened now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's basically
in a roundabout way.
Yeah, that's my so my view on this is when it comes to am I spiritual or am I religious? So I've got Buddha tattooed on my arm. But that's got nothing to do with religion. That is because I learned a Buddhist philosophy that basically helped me pinpoint everything. And it's the cornerstone when I talk in schools to kind of understand how we are as human beings. And essentially, if you imagine a circle, the top one is the identity, which is basically the I am statements. So this isn't how we see ourselves around this table. This is when we're in the shower by ourselves and we're left with our thoughts, or we're in the car alone. I'm a loser. I'm a failure. I'm no good. I'm unlovable. That's our identity on our subconscious level. That then leads to our thoughts. This isn't quite direct, but kind of follow me here. So that leads then to our thoughts. Our thoughts over time become our beliefs, because beliefs are just thoughts that we keep on thinking. So if we've got this negative I am statements, like I'm a loser, more than likely we're going to have negative thoughts that are going to pop up. Again, we can't control the thoughts we pop up, but we can control what we actually think about and what we choose to accept. So negative self-talk, negative thoughts leads to negative beliefs, which then lead to negative feelings. So if we don't know what we're thinking about, how we're feeling will tell us. Because it's impossible to be thinking of bunny rabbits and unicorns and feeling negative. So if we're feeling negative, we can reverse engineer it and realise we must be having some negative internal dialogue that's going inside our head.
Yeah, because, sorry, just quickly, is it true that it's impossible to feel positive and negative? So it's impossible to feel happy and guilty at the same time?
Yeah, because it's two, like they're all on the same spectrum. So like, let's say depression and supreme happiness, they're two sides of the same coin. They're the same.
Yeah.
It's just, the emotions are the same. There's no good or bad emotions. It depends on the context of it. Like I said, anger.
Yeah.
People
it's
say,
a bit like
about
anxiety and excitement. So if you've got a roller coaster, you feel scared and excited.
Exactly.
Because it's the same emotion in different contexts.
Exactly. And like I said, someone going to punch my mum, like the anger in that situation is very, very positive. So it's all contextual as well and how we perceive it. So again, sweat. So there's all these things. And then feelings then lead to our actions. Actions then lead to results. Results then confirm to us our identity. So negative identity, negative thoughts, negative feelings. We're going to take, if we've got negative feelings, we're going to take half-hearted action. We're not really going to try because we don't believe we can do it.
Like we do when we're in victim mode,
Exactly.
when we're suffering.
Exactly, which then means we get half-hearted results, which then confirms to us this identity, and that's the loop that we all get stuck in. So that's why I have Buddha tattooed on my arm. Bit of a roundabout tangent, but that's that. So I don't believe in religions. I believe in the core principle of all religions. So I've read the Bhagavad Gita, which is a Hindu thing. I've read the Quran, the Bible. So I've read these spiritual texts, and it's all basically the same thing. So my belief is that we are spiritual beings. Now, what I mean by that is we are not our name. So again, you think, so I say, who are you? You're going to say Joe. Well, no, Joe's just your name. And then you're like, oh, well, I'm a body. Well, you're not your body.
So you are that person at the moment you were born, before you were given a name, a race, a gender, that divine you that kind of immediately kind of went, because you get labels immediately, girl, boy,
Have you ever seen the
Daniel.
movie Soul?
Yes.
Basically like that.
Yeah.
The little things. So
So you're that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you are an energy being.
Yeah.
We are all energy. We're all made up of energy. We are more energy than anything else. So we are energy beings. That's what I believe in. My faith is that I have control of my reality to some extent. I can't control anyone else around here, but I can control
your experience. That's why I said that's the best way to explain it.
Exactly. And that's
what
what
do you
I
have
see what
faith
yours
in?
is.
My experience.
And I have faith in the outcome. And that everything will be, and everything happens for a reason. I say that depression is the best thing that ever happened to me. Because without that, I wouldn't be talking in schools. I wouldn't be helping all the hundreds of people I do. I wouldn't be talking to any of you guys. I'd never met Mikey. And again, Mikey, my best friends. Depression's the best thing that ever happened to me. But at the time, worst thing that ever happened to me. Look at all the amazing things that's happened to you after that horrific situation. And you wouldn't wish upon the world, but it happened for a reason. And you've got to hold that faith of everything happens for us. It doesn't happen to us, it happens for us. That's my faith. This is happening for me. I don't know why, and it may suck and I can't understand this, but it's happening for a reason. And that's my faith. That's it, and that keeps me going.
So on the flip side of that, then, if there are people who aren't spiritual or religious, surely that's a barrier then to that engagement in personal development and being healthy and getting well and all those sorts of things. So if somebody's not spiritual or have that faith that everything's going to be okay, when a bad experience comes, instead of going, this is happening for a reason and I've got to get through it, what happens then? People get stuck in that experience, don't we?
Well,
we get stuck in that suffering.
So I then teach them the basics of, you have a choice. So whether you believe in spirituality, whatever it is, do you believe that you have a choice? Well, yeah. Okay, cool. So right now you have a choice. Even to do nothing is a choice. And it's the same with gravity. This is what I can't try and teach people. Like, you may not believe in gravity, but if you step off a building, you're going to know that it's there. You may not believe in these spiritual laws of cause and effect, but I'm telling you, they are there.
Yeah.
So whether you believe in them or not, I don't really care. But at every moment in your life, you have a choice. So all I get clients to do is exercise a choice. You have a goal. Is this thing you're going to do right now going to move you towards that or away from that? The choice is yours. I don't care. I don't care. I say to them, I don't care what choice you make, but you have to live with the consequences of your actions.
Yeah.
And you then can't then moan about, oh yeah, but this and that. You have a choice. Unless someone literally has a gun to your head, you have a choice.
Yeah.
And even then you still have a choice. But
It's about accountability, isn't it?
yeah, that's exactly it.
A lot of people don't want to take accountability.
Accountability
nowadays.
and responsibility are the two things people don't want. People can't even make decisions for themselves. Like they'll say to them, oh, babe, do you think I should do this?
Yeah.
Oh, you see girls on Instagram all the time. Oh, thinking of changing my hair colour. What colour should I have?
Yeah.
Why are you asking other people what colour you should have your hair? What colour do you want your hair?
Yeah.
Can I put a scenario over? So think about something that a lot of people can relate to, a lot of guys can relate to. We're talking a lot about mental health here, but what about just the normal daily struggles at the moment that a lot of guys are facing in regards to the pressures, social pressures, relationship pressures, financial pressures, status? Men, whether you want to admit it or not, men do want some sort of status in their life, whether it's being a good father or being a millionaire. Status in some context is really important to men. You've got guys out there getting up at 6 a.m, working their asses off, coming back at 6 p.m, 7 p.m. They've got 3 kids. They've got a missus who's had the kids all day, or she's been at work all day. They're tired. They want to break through this barrier. They've got that dream. They've got something else they want to do. They're starting to feel a bit depressed because they can't do it. What do you, in your view, what sort of solutions are out there for those guys that are suffering in that scenario?
Kind of summarising everything we kind of spoke about. So in that scenario, in that situation, well, that's very, very common, not just for men, for women as well, because you'll have women who've got dreams, goals, aspirations, then get pregnant, then the guy F's off, and then they're stuck there like, well, this kid's
or the guy goes to work and still does his career.
Absolutely.
And then she has to sit at home and wait.
I think guys get such a bad rep for this, but there is so many good quality guys out there that are doing exactly what you've said. They are being good dads. They are showing up, but they'll never feel good enough because society says you've got to spend more time with your kids, but they've got to put food on the table, etc., etc., etc. So in that situation, and again, if they are struggling, if they are starting to feel a certain way, the first thing you've got to do, I would say, is have an honest conversation with yourself. Rather than just trying to use anything like, because again, those typical guys here, not everyone, will do drugs at the weekend or drink some alcohol at the weekend to escape reality. And they'll say, I just want to escape reality. Or they'll watch Netflix with the missus to watch mind-numbing TV, so they'll turn off. But all that's doing is perpetuating the problem. So if you really want to make a change, you've got to make a decision.
You really want to.
You've got to really want to.
Not kind of want to.
Exactly. So right then, are you just annoyed because you're trapped and stuck in this situation? You've got to be honest. How are you actually feeling? Are you feeling trapped, or genuinely do you feel like your dreams are being crushed? And you actually do have a goal, dreams and aspirations? Because if you do, you've then got to make the decision, right, I owe it to myself, to my kids and my partner to go after this. And then believe in yourself. But you've got to take the time. So rather than watching Netflix and going out on the lash, sit down with a pen and paper. What is it that you actually want to do?
Like give yourself that leverage so you're doing it for those.
If you can't do it for yourself, do it for your kids.
Yeah.
And this is what I say to the kids in the school. Right, why do you want to be a millionaire? And they'll say, have a nice house and car. That's not going to get you out of bed in the morning. When it's snowy outside and you're tired, that ain't going to get you out of bed in the morning.
I think, though, sorry to interrupt, when you say do it for the kids, that's another word that people say. You've only got to do it for you. Because I think it's good to do stuff for your children, but I do think then you forget about yourself.
You've got to leverage. You've got to leverage what you've got. So if you can't at the start,
leverage,
if you can't do it for
as
yourself,
a motivator,
exactly.
To get
you should always do it for yourself. Always, you're doing nothing because again, without you looking after yourself, you aren't looking after your kids. But if you genuinely have got that bad relationship with yourself, because it goes back to self-confidence. So if you've been lying to yourself, so let's say I'm 33 years old. Let's say for 33 years, I've been lying to myself, saying, I want to start this business. I'm going to start doing this. If I say to you, Joe, right, tomorrow, I'm going to take you on a dream holiday, meet me at the airport, give you £1 million as well. You're like, oh, amazing. Get there, don't show up. And this happens for 7 to 8 days in a row. You're going to think, this guy's an absolute dick. I then turn around to you and say, yeah, can I just borrow a tenner? You're like, are you joking? Yeah, that's the relationship we have with ourselves. We constantly tell ourselves we're going to do something, we let ourselves down. So we don't believe we can do it. So now we've got this business
That's a really
idea.
good analogy.
I know, I use it with clients all the time. So now we're like, oh yeah, I want to do this thing. No, you don't back yourself. Well, how about your kids? How about if I said, I'm going to take your kids away, and you ain't getting them back, I'm going to hold them at ransom. They're going to make them work a coal mine until you get your finger out. You're going to get your finger out and you're going to start to do it. And you ain't going to stop until you've done that thing you need to do. And then what's going to happen is you're going to start to have that faith in yourself again. And then you're going to start to do it for yourself because you start to get that self-respect and that self-esteem back. Leverage what you've got. There's
a long way leverage can go. Just very quickly.
Yeah, it's good.
Just about Michael Jordan used to do this to himself.
Yes.
It's a lie. He made up a story to the press that guy told me he's going to batter me. Put it in the press, the whole shebang, like, oh, Jordan versus so-and-so. And then Jordan comes out, annihilates everyone. And the interview, the guys went, we never had that conversation. Me and Jordan are mates. Yeah. It's all a lie. Yeah. And Jordan went, I just said it to everyone. Just cheer myself up. To give myself the leverage.
So with this, I genuinely believe that love is the answer to all, without sounding too hippie and woo-woo. I believe that you should want to do it for you. But if you have to do it to show your mum or show your ex-missus, fuck you, fuck you. And you're using that motivation to get you going, cool.
Doing it. Yeah.
But then that anger will only get you so far.
Yeah.
You've then got to do it because you want to do it and you love it and you do it for other
And
reasons.
you love it.
Exactly. So
But
you've
it
got
gets
to
you
leverage
moving.
yourself.
It gets you
So
moving.
right now in that situation, let's just kind of tie it back in. That guy, make the decision you actually want to do it. And again, leverage your kids, whatever it is you need to do to get the ball rolling. But then actually have a bit of an action plan. What is it that you actually want to do? What is the 5-year goal? Because the reason why we procrastinate is because, number one, we don't know how to do it. So generally right now...
Yeah, we don't make a plan.
We don't make a plan, but then let's say we do make a plan. So let's say right now, I want to become a builder. I want to run a building company. I ain't got a clue how to do that. So I'm going to not do it because I don't know.
Yeah.
So what you've got to do is you've got to have...
The first obstacle.
You've got to find a way to do it. So you're either procrastinating because you don't know how to do it, in which case, go and find out how to do it, or you don't believe that you can do it. So you've got the plan. Literally, you say to me, Dan, here's how I build my business. Here's the blueprint. Literally, just follow it through. Yeah. If I don't believe that I can do it, I'm not going to take any action towards it. And
Sometimes as well, you don't truly want to do it either.
And that's the final part. Do you actually want to do it? Do I actually want to be a builder? Because I might want to be a builder because, like, well, you've got a great life. You're looking great. You've got a nice watch there. You're looking very true. You look brilliant, mate. Your hair's all
Cheers,
done.
pal.
And I'm like, yeah, I just want to do that. And it's what a lot of kids do. Oh, yeah, I want to be like Andrew Tate. Well, do you though?
Yeah.
Do you actually want to be like Andrew Tate, or do you just want the money? And this is what people don't understand. And people say they want this thing, but actually, when's it? And this is a societal thing. When is it not good enough to be a good dad and actually go out and work and provide for your family? When is that not enough? Because I think sometimes there's this pressure that you've got to be millionaires. And to that guy, that gentleman that got all that pressure, when is it not good enough to actually be in your kid's life, actually caring? When is that? When has been a stay-at-home?
That's a recent modern thing.
And when's been
anymore.
a stay-at-home mum not been good enough?
Yeah. Well, that's been on for a while, hasn't
Exactly.
it? The women have that massive problem, don't they? Judge for staying at home with the kids, then they judge if they leave the kids to go to work. And it's just that, today's society, just judgment comes from all sides.
Isn't it? Yeah.
They can't win.
But to be a guy and actually going out and providing for your family every single day,
Yeah.
that's enough.
noble.
You've done well.
That is noble. And it gives me goosebumps thinking about that, because there's a lot of guys that think they're not good enough when actually they are really the creme de la creme.
If you're going out
The
that
men that
door
used to
every
go
day-
out, the men that used to go out working in the coal mine all day and come back to and put bread on the table, they were heroes in the household. They
Even
kept the
that-
household going, and that was enough.
Factories now are the modern day sort of that kind of element. If you're going out to work in the rain, cold, if you're providing, if you're getting holidays, if you're making the food, if they've got the ability to go to school, you're winning. That's it.
Absolutely. And that's what it is. Like,
Start from there.
And I said, then if you have got dreams, cool. But again, just ask yourself, why do you have these dreams? Is it because you've seen some
That's
stuff on
someone else's
TikTok?
dream as well.
Exactly. That's exactly it. What do you, and this is where you got to have an honest conversation with yourself. What do you actually want? And most people want to be happy. And the reason why that a guy in that situation isn't happy is because they've shown absolutely no gratitude for what they actually do have, which in that situation is 3 healthy kids. They've got a job. They've got a wife that loves them, roof over their head. Wow. Some people would,
Yeah, you
a
win.
lot of people in the world would kill for
Nailed
that.
it, but there are a lot of people out there now who would tell you that they're
not good enough.
depressed because they're in that situation and they want more.
Just get off social media is my number one thing as well.
Yeah.
You're seeing a different side of the work. Like you say, look at what you've got, and generally what you've got, you end up looking at it and you're a
Humble
millionaire.
yourself.
Yeah, so I go on my clients to gratitude journal. In order to work with me, you have to read. So I start you off. You've got to read 10 pages a day, and you've got to gratitude journal. If you're not willing to do those 2 things, I won't take you on as a client.
Read 10 pages a day of what? Anything?
A non-fiction book.
No, it's got
So
to
it's
be
got to be
non-fiction.
non-fiction. So it can't be Harry Potter. And I send my clients out a book to start off with. It's called The Art of Being Brilliant. It's a really easy starter self-help book.
Yeah.
But that just get the ball rolling. And then what they normally tend to do is go into podcasts. It's amazing because they normally go into my podcast, and then that's then a gateway to other podcasts. Like you guys will find, as you sort of go onto this, you'll see people basically who've never listened to a podcast, but they'll know you guys, family members and stuff. And then actually, a year down the line, they'll be listening to other podcasts. And what happens is you get...
Well, a load of my friends were now listening to your podcast.
Oh, no, it's
Yeah,
amazing. But
same,
then what
yeah.
happens is you almost can then get annoyed that people listen to the podcast. But I'm like, I don't care
right, yeah.
who people listen to, as long as they're getting their information. That's all I care about, because all I want is just to help people in whatever capacity that is for themselves. So if they listen to other podcasts, amazing. As long as they're doing something and they're happy, they're living a life, cool. That's good for me.
Good stuff.
By the way, can I say this has been a fantastic conversation? I genuinely have had
Yeah,
I've had a
enjoyed it,
great,
yeah.
I've had a great
It's helped
time.
me. It's helped me. I feel loads more positive.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah, a little bit like therapy, yeah.
There you go. That's a good motivation there, mate.
Job done.
I'm going to be a client.
Dan, where do you want to be in 5 years from now? You pick it up at 5, 10 years.
Where do I want to be? Where will I be?
I like that.
I already know. I spent all morning actually writing this out. My
Where?
5-year goal.
Where?
In 5 years' time, I will be a world-renowned mindset and high-performance coach. I'll be speaking on stage in front of thousands of people, and I'll be helping change people's lives on a grand scale. I'll have a team of coaches that are helping me as well, and I will be a millionaire, not to have the financial status, but that will allow me to help more people. For example, when I talk about money, people think, what do you mean? It's like, I couldn't have Mikey do what he does if I didn't have money. And for me, money is about helping other people. So you do good things, you get rewarded for it. And for me to have more money means I can help more people. I can have systems in place. I can have whatever it is, like an app, whatever it is that needs to
Are
be
you
done.
doing these talks globally?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a global. So again, I've got it all written down. Like I've got, it's going to sound a bit nuts. Every morning I write out my goal. I could probably read it off by heart. I'm not going to.
For the
but I
day
will.
or for the...
The same one every morning?
Yeah, for my life. It's the same thing.
Oh, okay.
So every single
Repetition.
day.
Back to your repetition.
Impressive.
Yeah.
So every single morning I write my gratitudes, and then I write down my goal for life, my life goal. So like when I'm literally 60 years old, what's my life look like? So I've got my financial goal, it's got my business goal, it's got the house I'm living in, it's got how many holidays I take, it's literally all there. And every single
Wow.
morning I write it out.
There's a lot of
So,
information.
but again, it's there. So like I said to you before, you've got a choice. Is this decision helping me move towards my goal? So for example, driving down here on a Wednesday night, is this helping me move towards my goal? Yes.
Yeah.
Am I getting paid for it? No.
No, it's not about money though, is it? It's about progress.
No. And that's exactly it. But at some point, you're going to have a choice. And you will be getting paid for something. It'd be the opposite. You are getting paid for it, but it moves you away from your goal. And that's the reason I mentioned the money. So it's like, then you've got a choice to make. Are you doing it for the money, or are you doing it to move you towards your goal? So for me, my filter is this moving me towards my goal? The answer is yes.
Non-financial, just go.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, right now, someone said to me, "Oh, listen, Dan, we've got a charity football game. We're going to pay you 200 quid. Come play football tonight." Is that moving me towards my goal? No. Financially, cool, but it's not in line with what I'm doing. So I'd pick this over that, even though that's. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So everything, it's like a filter for the decisions I'm making every day. And that's why I don't do anything that I don't want to do. Now, sometimes you've got to, like washing up and all that sort of stuff. But big decisions in my life, if I'm here with you guys because I want to be here, if I'm doing something with my kids because I want to be there doing it, because every decision in my life is this moving me towards my goal? If the answer is no, I'm not interested.
And you're checking every day so you don't deviate from that. And
sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. And some days I don't do my journaling. Some days I don't do my meditation.
Because you're normal.
Because I'm a flawed human, just like everyone else.
But you'll pick that up because you've
But I pick it up. And again,
yeah.
and that's the thing for me. I am not harsh on myself. I don't beat myself up. There'll be things like you said after the podcast we had. I'll probably leave here and be like, I wish I said this, I wish I said that.
That's important because when you're talking, you think, oh, you've got it together, you know what you did. Then an element just say, do you know what? I get it wrong all the time.
Mate, all the time.
People don't understand that. Everybody gets it wrong all the time.
And that's the thing for
It's
me.
just about restarting.
And that's why I don't want anyone ever to look at me and think he's got it all together. Now, I do in the sense of I know where I'm going, but mate, I'm just making it up like everyone else. And the more you go up into see these people I'm learning from, they're all saying the same thing.
You say that though, and yeah, that's great. But there is also an element of you've had a lot of a variation of different experiences that you've struggled with. It's been a really interesting journey that you've been on. You're very passionate. You're clearly very proactive and very determined. So there might be some people here who might be like, oh, that's inspiring to see someone, put that much into the work that you're doing and that much belief. If I'm going to nick a question off my mate's podcast now, he asks the guests every question. It's just come to me, so I'll ask it to you. If you could go back in time to see your former self, at what age would you go, and what advice would you give him?
Oh, that is an absolutely beautiful question. Genuinely, like when you said that to me, and I knew where that question was going. I've got a feeling in my stomach, and I'll probably cry later on thinking about it because I know exactly where I go, so I can picture myself. It would be me. I don't know how old I am. I want to say I'm probably 14 or 15 years old, so secondary school age. I can picture myself, and I would just go up to him and say, "It's going to be okay, mate. That's it, mate. It's going to be okay.
Yeah,
you're going to go through some hard times. You've got it. You're fine."
So no advice, encouragement.
No advice, just encouragement. Because again, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, and a friend of mine, John Borland, he does a podcast. And he asks these guests that question every time, and I gave an identical answer.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it. But there's no right or wrong answer to that.
What you gave the same answer as Dan?
My answer was I won't give myself any advice. I'd just say keep going.
Oh, okay.
I probably wouldn't do that because I wouldn't believe me. I go, "Is this bloke?"
Weird
Weird old bloke.
You didn't look like that.
Me.
I do not turn out like that.
Yeah.
I tell you what I do. I tell you, really thinking about it, I would go back to last week and give myself the winning lottery ticket.
Yeah.
but here we go. So it's when you said that, because this is something that I don't normally say. When it comes to me and the people I work with, I imagine the bell curve of mental health. I can't reach people within that bottom part. Unfortunately, when you're in that dark, deep place, you're on your own there. It's very hard to be saved there. You've got to, that's like pray territory, like people praying for you. My goal is to try and stop people on the way down. And when they're coming on the slight way up, I grab them by the scruff of the neck and pull them back up. Because in my darkest days, if I'd literally time traveled back to myself and spoke to myself, I'd have told myself to go fuck myself. Literally me. I wouldn't have been like, where have you come from? I'm like, go fuck yourself. Because I wouldn't have wanted to hear it. I wouldn't have been in the headspace to hear it, and I would not have wanted to know. So that's also something to understand. If someone that you know is struggling, just understand they're not in their right frame of mind, and they've got to want to help themselves. You can't force anyone to do anything, and that is horrible. It's one of the worst things to do.
When you care for someone, it's hard.
When you care, all you got to do is just keep giving them that support, and at some point, hopefully, they will come out the other side, and then you can grab them by the scruff of the neck and give them all the help and support.
But if they don't, have you just got to watch them spiral out of control then?
You can't force anyone to do anything.
No,
You can't. Unfortunately, you can't. Like, imagine, like...
It makes it worse.
It makes it worse. Like, because if you don't think... Like, say, when I was depressed, I didn't know there was anything wrong with me.
Yeah.
So if my parents had come in and tried to save the day, I'd be like... I'd have gone nuts at them. What are you doing? Like, all anger, aggression, stuff like that. And... I don't obviously know we're wrapping up here, so it's a bit of a side tangent. Sure. But just know that when people are struggling like that, all you can do is just offer that support. But if they are that bad... you really have got to let it ride out and just really like
They've got to be ready and willing to
they've
accept
got
it.
to be.
You got to let them go through sometimes just what they're going through without putting that pressure on them.
Yeah.
You know, without making it worse.
Yeah.
Essentially,
And I also think as well, like you can't rob them of that experience.
Well, if they pull themselves through, they become stronger.
Yes.
Exactly. You can't rob them from that experience.
That's really interesting, isn't it? Actually, because they need to go through
Hard
that.
lessons.
Yeah.
No, but
And
That's having faith in other people.
Yeah.
And that's the bizarre thing with it. I've got faith in all my clients. And one of the biggest things that gets me the results is I believe in my clients before they believe in themselves. Because I know everyone's potential.
Yeah. Brilliant.
So
Nice.
I've got one more for you.
Yep.
Someone comes up to you. I come up to you and go, Dan, I'm really struggling. I've got a goal and a dream, and I'm really struggling with it. And you can only give me one piece of advice. What would it be?
So what are they struggling with? Are they struggling mentally, or have they got a goal and a dream? Which one is it?
Let's say goal and a dream.
Make a committed decision to do it and just take action.
Brilliant.
What would yours be?
What?
If you could give one piece of advice to someone, what would it be? What's your favourite bit of advice to give?
I think just to carry on, never stop, keep getting yourself up.
About yours, Ben?
I'd play the Rocky VI speech.
Do
Do you know which one I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly.
Life's not all.
Can we put it on?
roses
That's
and-
not sunshine and rainbows.
Do that. Put that on.
Yeah.
That's my speech.
Can I have that one?
No, you've had your chance.
What would yours be?
Love yourself.
Yeah.
That's it.
Love.
So again, we're going for a goal and a dream. If they're struggling mentally, that'd be a good one. Yeah, love yourself. Back yourself. Trust yourself.
Yeah, back yourself.
Yeah, 100%. You're stronger than you know.
Yeah.
With that.
Good.
It's been great having you on, mate.
You're very welcome.
Really, really good having you on.
Yeah,
We could
amazing.
have gone on for hours with that.
Honestly.
And
Yeah.
honestly, you
really enjoyed it.
talk really passionately, and you talked about a lot there. And there were so many times we could have gone, pause, let's go down there, pause, let's go down there. So there's a lot of people probably wanting to hear more from you. So tell us where they can find you, where's all your content, where's the best place to go?
Best place to go at the moment is Instagram, and that is Daniel_James_coaching. And then we've got the podcast, which is on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast, and that is just simply the Prime Life Project podcast. And if you are struggling, please feel free to reach out to me on Instagram, and I'll happily put you in the right direction or give you any guidance that I can as well. So I don't try and sell people onto coaching. Like if that's an option for them, brilliant. But if someone's genuinely struggling, I'm not one of those guys. It's like, just sign up for this coaching thing. It's like, no, I will genuinely, if you're struggling, I will point you in the right direction. I'll guide you and I'll support you as best I can.
It's
So,
amazing.
You can see that as well. That's amazing.
yeah. Listen, for me, like money comes and goes.
Yeah.
Like it's about having ethics and morals and genuinely wanted to help. And genuinely, anytime I can come back and help you guys again, like chat.
We'd love
because
that.
it's been a real, genuinely, I've had a great time.
Yeah.
And I think that's a sign of a safe, welcoming space. And it's nice to have that. And again, I know you guys are new to podcasting, but what you've got going on here is brilliant. And you've been very
Appreciate
welcoming. And the whole vibe of it's been fantastic. So thank
Brilliant.
you.
Love what you do,
Nice one,
mate.
Dan.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well
Thank
done.
you.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, mate.
Amazing.
Hey, yo.